Hey, what is up guys? It is Phantom here, and welcome back to a brand new video, guys. So in this video, I'm going to be ranking all the Wizard101 worlds. Yes, I know, I'm going to be ranking them all again, but this time based on their storylines and the overall story that each world had to offer, guys. And yes, I know what you're thinking, guys. I have telepathic ability, I can read your guys' thoughts. It's one of the many perks of becoming a YouTuber, so I know what you're thinking, right? Phantom, didn't you just make a ranking Wizard101 Worlds video like 2 or 3 weeks ago? And yes, and the reason why I'm doing it again is because they get views, man! Oh my god, yeah, I can't believe I just said that. But like, okay, in all seriousness, guys, I feel like each world just has a lot to offer, really, in its own right, you know, because like, obviously I've ranked the worlds before. You know, a long time ago I've ranked them on basically how much I personally liked each world, and I kind of just want to go into a little bit more detail, and I feel like it'd be nice to just touch on all the categories because there really is a lot that goes into each world, and you know, I just kind of want to recognize that, guys. So without further ado, let's move on to number 17, guys. Yes, I know, 17 worlds, crazy, right? Let's move on to number 17, everyone. So guys, if I didn't mention it before, this is a worst to best ranking video, obviously, you know, that's just kind of the style I kind of like to do these. So anyways, coming in at the worst, aka number 17, is going to be Crocotopia, guys. So I get it, I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this video because, you know, I'm gonna trash people's favorite worlds. It's fine, guys. So yeah, the worst story world, in my opinion, is going to be Crocotopia, guys. The main problem I have with this world is there really is no clear villain here. At least not really from the start, because, you know, we go into this world thinking we're going to try to catch Wisteria, you know, and get to the Croconomicon before he can get to it, right, and everything. We don't even see Wisteria in this world, nor do we really know who our enemies are. I mean, obviously we fight the Crocs, but that's mainly to just please these guys over here. Like, there's no real, like, clear motive behind our actions besides to get to Wisteria, and even then, even at the end of the world, when we finally fight the Queen and try to get the Croconomicon, we fail and he already takes it. Like, it's just like, it makes you wonder, really, like, what was the point of this world, you know? Like, if the Croconomicon was never here, why were we ever here? I don't know, guys. That's just kind of my problem with it. And we don't even figure out that the Queen has the Croconomicon until, like, we go to the Tomb of Storms, which is literally the last area of the world. And I'm pretty sure Crocotet tells us, like, last minute that we need to go to the Queen's chambers and like fight the Queen and try to take it, which I don't know, we just had like no prior knowledge about before. So I don't know, I feel like a lot of it's really unclear for me, and we really just, we don't have that much of a villain. I wouldn't even count Crocopatra as a villain because I don't know, she's just someone that we kind of confront at the end because we kind of just figure out she has something we want. But then it makes you think, like, what was all, like, why, how did we get there? Like, what did we do in the pyramid? And like, okay, well, obviously here, like, you know, we figure out, like, we get guidance from like all the spirits and the teachers and stuff, and they tell us to go to the Tomb of Storms. Okay, I get that part, right? But why did we have to go to the pyramid? Like, I'm just saying, guys, like, I mean, you could argue that it was because, like, you know, we had to go to the pyramid to, you know, locate the big obvious island over there known as the Crocosphinx, but I don't know, guys, it's all just a little bit unclear to me. Just like the no clear motive behind this world and its story just really doesn't do it for me. So that's all I gotta say about Crocotopia, guys. Coming in at number 16, guys, is going to be Zafaria. So yes, I know, I like to shit on Zafaria a lot for it being just a world that exists in this game. And yeah, I'm gonna continue to do that, guys. I'm not gonna lie, the story to Zafaria was, I mean, besides Morganth being in it towards the very end, guys, I'm not gonna lie, it was a bit dull for me. It really didn't do it for me. You know, if you really think about it, Zafaria was kind of just like a worse version of Marley Bone, if you really think about it, because, you know, for the entirety of Zafaria, or at least some of the entirety of Zafaria, you're kind of just chasing this guy named like Tsitsi Snaketail or something like that, you know, and it's like you don't really know who this guy is, and you don't even know like his clear motives, you know. I feel like with Marley Bone, at least, like, you know, because we were chasing, you know, Meowiarty a lot and all that, you know, at least they made like his intentions known, you know, and they made him have like a true villainous presence, you know. Really what this world consisted of was just us basically doing tasks for people while like on the sidelines, you know, kind of just like chasing this one guy because we know he has some sort of connection to Morganth. But I don't know, guys, the whole thing was just a bit too vague for me. I personally didn't enjoy it, and I know some of you in the comments, I always get them. I always get the comments saying, "Oh, but Zafaria was my favorite world." Guys, it's my video, okay? Oh god, yeah, I'm so mean, I know. But seriously guys, the story here just, I don't know, I didn't find it that compelling, I didn't find it that interesting. Little disclaimer though, I don't think any, like, of these, like, worlds in Wizard101, I don't think any of their stories are necessarily bad. I think this whole game has one great overarching story to it, really. You know, and that's just the fact of the matter, but some of these worlds are just better than others, guys, and I don't know, you'll just come to see that. But Zafaria, with its just kind of cat and mouse game, it really didn't do it for me. And also we had like this little side quest. It wasn't even a side quest because it was part of the main quest. It was part of the reason we went here, was to like find some missing students that like got lost on a safari or something. I don't know, guys, or a safari. Did I really just say safari? Okay, yeah, Safari is already getting to me, guys. You can tell, but seriously, it really didn't do it for me. The whole chase and the whole finding the students. I don't know. I didn't find it that interesting. Personally, it's my opinion, but I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys thought about all these worlds and their stories, because I don't know, guys. It's just my opinion, but I like to hear yours in the comments anyways. So, anyways, let's move on to number 15, guys. You know, I will say this, okay? I will say there's a pretty big gap between the quality of Zafaria's story and the quality of Celestia's story, and basically every world on this list from here on out. But the main problem I have with Zafaria's story is that they take too long to introduce a clear villain, okay? I don't even remember why we come here in the first place, but we had no knowledge of Morganth, the Shadow Queen, when we came here, and honestly, I'm not really sure what we were doing. And you know, the story's not very memorable if you can't remember it. And you know, while I do kind of, I mean, I remember like the basic story, you know, and everything, but really when you take so long to introduce such a compelling villain like Morganth, you know, it just makes the rest of the world, or at least, you know, not, I wouldn't even say the start of the world, because they literally introduce her in like the final dungeon. Like, it's like that bad. What you do is the whole like first 85% of the world just kind of loses its credibility, in my opinion, because I mean, obviously, you know, we're trying to uncover the secrets, we're trying to repair the whole astral dial here, you know, which is cool and all, it's cool and all, but when you don't really have that villainy presence, or, you know, and it wasn't even something that, like, they were building up to, it feels like they kind of just threw it in there, like, at the end of the, I'm trying to remember what dungeon it was called. I think it was the, hold on, it's one of these three here. Or it's one of, is it the no, it's not the Portico. What is this one? It's the Chancel, yeah. I'm pretty sure she was introduced in the Chancel, the Sun Dungeon, at the very end of that. At least I think the Chancel was the Sun Dungeon. So, in my opinion, guys, they waited too long to really have that overarching villainous presence, and I don't know, that just kind of took away, you know, a lot of the credibility for all that we were doing in this world. And while I do think this was a fun world, I just don't know if the storyline was really there, guys. But anyways, let's move on to number 14, guys. Now, while there was a lot that I really liked about Mirage in and of itself, the storyline... Okay, here's my main issue with it, okay? So the storyline for Mirage, I didn't think was inherently bad. I thought the build-up to Xerxes, like, attacking, like, the front of the city, I thought that was actually done quite well. And how, you know, it kind of built up to that, you know? And, like, the whole, introduction of the Cabal, I think that was actually done pretty nicely. The main problem I had with this, though, is it was really just a setup for Imperia, okay? And what I mean by that is basically they used this entire world, you know, to kind of just hint at stuff that, like, would happen, you know? Because obviously, like, you kind of expect, like, at the end of this world, with how much, like, they talk up Grandfather Spider and the Cabal and stuff, I feel like you expect something massive to happen with that. But, you know, I just feel like it really... It's a little anticlimactic. Like, obviously you do fight Spider at the end, and that element is pretty cool. But after that, he kind of just does his whole disappearing act again. Obviously, he takes Mallory. I do like that aspect. But, you know, the whole world... Yeah, like, I just don't think Imperia would have been as good without this world. I think this world actually did do a pretty good job of setting up Imperia and making me excited for that world. But the whole world, like, this world itself, just felt a little bit placeholder-ish. And like I said, there is some parts of this world that I really do enjoy. I could get into those in another video. I don't know, guys, but seriously, the storyline, you know, it was fine. It was fine, really. And, you know, obviously we're getting better as this list progresses, getting into better stories and all that. But really my main problem was it was just kind of a setup for Imperia. And obviously, you know, it made people hyped for Imperia. It made people hyped for what was going to go on between, like, Raven and Spider and stuff like that. And that's fine. And this world did do a good job of that. But, I don't know, I feel like the focus on its own little story, I don't know, it was too big for this. I feel like if this world had a smaller story, it would have been a little bit better. I don't know, guys. But anyways, obviously, that's just my opinion. Let's move on to, what are we at? Number 13? Let's go to number 13, guys. Oh, Aquila. Aquila, Aquila, Aquila. Alright, so here's my problem with Aquila, alright? I don't necessarily, like I said with Mirage, you know, all the worlds from here on out, I don't really think their stories are inherently bad. Not really. Like, seriously, the main problem I have with Aquila here is, guys, let's be real here, okay? We all come here for the drops, alright? Nobody pays attention. No one pays attention to what the story is, except me, because I'm an avid Wizard101 player, alright? So, I would know, okay? Okay, no. In all fairness, though, most people do come here for the drops, me included. I'm not exempt from any of these rules or anything, but the thing with Aquila is it was mainly just a place for loot drops, and it still is, okay? And when you have that, when they make those drops and they make it into a dungeon, I feel like that just, I don't want to say that the drops take away from the story, but they kind of just made it so there was just a story, you know, and they kind of just threw a story in there, you know, because they had to, but, you know, obviously they knew people were going to play it anyway, so I feel like they just didn't put enough effort into the story. I don't know, I mean, it's a cool world and all, it's got cool bosses and cool gear and everything. I just feel like they knew, you know, because obviously this gear was revolutionary at the time, guys, and it still is really, really good gear today. And I don't know, I don't think they just decided not to do a whole lot with the story because people were gonna play it for the gear anyway, and we still do. And I don't know, guys, I have looked into the story a bit. Yeah, it's really not that interesting. Like, you literally just come here, I mean, everyone knows this, you come here for the Immortal Games, and you learn, like, a very, very tiny smidge of backstory, like, about the world, or, like, honestly, it's mainly about Tartarus, but yeah, basically what Silenus, or, like, the goat man up there, what he does, Silenus, I don't know how to pronounce his name, he literally just tells you about, like, each little dungeon before you go in it, and you're basically just here to challenge the gods and get your gear and everything. So, you know, most people just get their Tartarus set and get out, you know, and that's just kind of the vibe of this world I get, you know, which, you know, it's not a bad thing. I mean, obviously it's a dungeon world, like, what do you expect, really? But I don't know, some dungeons have better stories than others, and we'll get to that, guys. But anyways, let's move on to the next one. Alright, guys, I love Wisteria. I really, really love Wisteria as a world, guys. I love the vibe, I love the design. What I don't really love is the story and motivation for coming here, okay? Literally, all this is, okay, I just think Wisteria, even though I really like the world, I feel like it's a little bit of wasted potential, and really what I mean by that is they just could have done more, man, you know? Like, the story, basically, if you don't know the story, because I feel like a lot of people do skip Wisteria, because obviously it's not a main world, and it doesn't give, like, a huge amount of XP, but, you know, I still like to do it anyway when I quest on new characters. Because, I don't know, I feel like it's worth doing because, you know, the whole world's an experience, man. But not really. I really do wish it had a better story. Literally, the only reason you come here is to participate in the little tournament they've got going on. And then, like, little problems each happen with, like, each one of the students that you're facing against. You gotta help the students solve the problems. You make friends with them along the way, and it's just beautiful, and you end up winning the tournament. You know, it's not a horrible story. I'll say that, okay? It's not horrible. I really do like how this is kind of just a parallel of Wizard City, just now with more, like, pigs, you know, because that's just all anyone is here. Everyone's just a pig, guys. But seriously, it really is just, it's not that interesting, you know, of a world, I'll be honest. Like I said, it's one of my personal favorite worlds, but I do wish they could have done more with it, because, you know, the whole point of a story in a game is to draw you in and, you know, make you want to quest and make you feel excited about the world and everything. And I feel like Wisteria's, yeah, you know, it just comes down to it just not being that interesting, and it just not being that fluid. I don't know, guys, like, I don't know about you, but I don't really give a shit if, like, an oversized Groot character steals my wand. I'm just saying, guys, that's all I gotta say about Wisteria. Even though I love the world, I love the design, I love lots of things about it, but the story, it just wasn't there for me, guys. I wish it was, I really do, but it just wasn't there, guys. So, anyways, let's move on to the next one. you know, there is one thing, okay? There is one thing that I can praise Mushu for, guys, and that is the fact that the world itself has a pretty decent storyline, okay? It's not the best. You know, obviously, it's kind of like middle of the road, you know, tier on this list, guys. Despite some other things I might not like about the world, it does have a pretty decent storyline going for it. You know, going around each area, trying to purify, like, and collect each items to try and cure the Emperor so he can give you, like, the key to Dragonspire. I think that's the story. Guys, it's going to be really embarrassing if one of you corrects me in the comments down below for my lack of knowledge. Please don't do that, I beg you. But seriously, guys, so the story, it's not too bad, really. Like, you know, it was kind of interesting. I kind of enjoyed it, you know, like, questing through the world, it was alright. It was kind of a good time. You know, just kind of the whole idea of, like, going around to areas and, you know, it's kind of like each area has a purpose, and Mushu does do a good idea, or not a good idea, it does a good job with demonstrating how each thing that you're doing has a purpose and how it does contribute to the overall goal at hand. That's what I liked about Mushu. There was a goal at hand, there was something to drive the story, and that's really what makes it, like, so decent in my opinion. God, I feel like that was really anticlimactic, just me saying, oh, it was so decent. But it's the truth, guys. I mean, the story, you know, it's decently interesting. I still think there's a lot more interesting story arcs out there, but we'll get to those. But yeah, no, definitely Mushu had something to drive the story. Obviously, you wanted to cure the Emperor of his, like, curse or sickness or whatever he had. And, you know, that did make for a pretty decent story, and it was a pretty good goal throughout the world, guys. So, anyways, Mushu had a decent story. Let's move on to the next one. So, the really, really big, overarching story arc that Azteca has, I'm actually a really big fan of. I think they did a really great job with it, and how it, like, you know, led up to, like, Malister's, like, resurrection, which, of course, in turn led to a bunch of other problems, but I don't know, him being Margant's Dark Servant, that big reveal at the end was pretty cool. Yeah, that part was pretty cool, but, so, obviously, the big arc behind Azteca, you know, you're trying to track down Morganth, you're trying to stop, you know, the prophecy from fulfilling, and, you know, the end of all worlds from coming, obviously. That didn't work out so well here, as you can probably tell, but, yeah, so the main problem I've got with Azteca's story, though, is that there are, okay, obviously this kind of has to do with the style of questing, and I'm sure lots of people are familiar with this. You know, you'd have a pretty good story going, with Azteca, and, you know, you'd kind of like what's happening, you're like, yeah, I'm getting into this, I'm kind of getting into this, and then you'll just run into, like, 4 or 5 just defeat and collect quests, or defeat and collect bosses and collect quests. That stuff just, I'm not gonna lie, that stuff kind of kills your story. Like, it's fine to have that, like, sprinkled in there, but you gotta add some variety to it, and when you don't add variety, people lose interest. There are gaps in the story that, you know, kind of just make people not want to play it. And at least that was my experience with Azteca as a whole. I think the whole story of the prophecy with Morganth was obviously a really great story, and, you know, it made for a big, compelling arc, and I think Azteca played a huge role in that. But Azteca, as, you know, like, its individual quests, I'm not, like, too fond of, just because of the way that they were styled. I really think this world could have been, like, I don't know, top 5 for story or something, really, if, like, those quests, man, those defeat and collect quests just didn't, like, I don't know what the right word is, but just kind of destroy the story a little bit. I don't know. Maybe not even that extreme, but the story overall was pretty decent, if I do say so myself. Yeah, it obviously had a huge role, playing into the bigger picture of things, but the whole quest layout, man, it wasn't for me. Like, I just couldn't do it. So, anyways, that's all I gotta say for Azteca. Let's move on to the next one, guys. So, Polaris, guys, this was a perfect example of a short but sweet world, guys. I honestly, you know, kind of similar to Azteca, except I enjoyed Polaris' quests way more. It could have been top 5, but there was a few problems. One of the main things, is that this world just wasn't long enough, man. Like, seriously, it had a really compelling story, honestly, with kind of discovering Old Cop's first kid, you know, Rasputin, aka the Rat, you know, and having his little chase at the end, you know, and of course, his plan, like, honestly almost worked, and that kind of just made things a little bit, you know, it upped the stakes a little bit, which I thought this world did really, really well. It did up the stakes, despite the world being kind of easy. They upped the stakes, like, storyline-wise, if that makes sense, but overall, it really just, the storyline really made for a really cool and exciting world. The only problem is it just really wasn't long enough, man. I want to see more of Polaris. Can we get a hashtag Polaris Part 2 in the comments down below, guys? Because honestly, I really did enjoy this world, and its story was actually really good, especially with the I don't remember exactly what it's called, but it's a dungeon in the River of Frozen Tears, some sort of temple dungeon with those winged wolves. That was fucking awesome. Like seriously, this world really did have some high points. The problem is there really just wasn't enough of those high points for me to call this like a full story. Like it was just lacking a little bit of substance that could have been fixed with just a little bit more length added onto the world. So honestly, my only complaint is that we didn't see enough of Polaris. And you know, while that might sound like a compliment, and I mean it is, it's also something that KI did wrong, and I hope they don't mess up in the future because I don't know, guys. Can we get a hashtag Polaris Part 2 down in the comments down below? All right, I'm gonna refrain from doing that anymore. But seriously, this was a really good world, and the storyline was pretty good. I just wish it was longer, and I feel like many people can agree with me. I feel like this is kind of a fan favorite. I really like Polaris. So, anyways, guys, let's move on to the next world. Alright, so coming up next, guys, we've got Marley Bone. So this world, honestly, for what the story was, it really did do a good job with it. Like I said previously in this video, if you're not just skipping ahead like a little bitch. No, seriously. God, I really can lash out sometimes. I'm sorry about that, guys. But basically, what I mentioned previously in the video is that Zafaria kind of had this whole cat and mouse storyline, which is obviously, I think, a very good storyline to use pretty much just in like any sort of instance. I'm a really big fan of the whole cat and mouse storyline, and you know, this was quite literally a cat and mouse story. Okay, I'm sorry, that was a bad joke, but seriously, the way, I don't know, like they made it so, you know, we chase Meowiarty across the rooftops, and obviously he team up with Malistaire, which I know, shocker, spoiler for those of you who don't know, but yeah, guys, the way, I don't know, it was kind of crafted, you know, with Meowiarty teaming up with Malistaire. And then Malistaire, like, overrunning an entire street with, like, undead. I don't know. I think that just worked really well. And then, obviously, it built up to a huge dungeon, Big Ben, which, you know, honestly is quite the grind, but it's kind of also quite the hype, if you ask me. But seriously, guys, I really do think that Marley Bone did do the cat and mouse storyline a lot better than Zafaria. The music is just, like, and the sound effects are just so loud. Oh, my God. But, yeah, guys, the whole theme of Marley Bone, I feel like, kind of fit the cat and mouse storyline better, and that's not just because there were cats and mouses in the world. Okay, guys, I've got issues. I'm so sorry, but really, I do think they did do that kind of storyline well, and I promise I'm not making these puns on purpose. They're just happening. But yeah, guys, like I mentioned, Zafaria is just a way worse version of this storyline. So, anyways, the whole, you know, Meowiarty being a big crime boss and everything, and how we had to pin him down, I think that was really unique and interesting, and I think it really worked with what we've been given here. So, anyways, that's all I gotta say about Marley Bone. It wasn't the biggest world, but it did have a nice storyline that was really proportionate in the best way possible to this world's size. So, yeah, hopefully that makes sense to you guys. But anyways, let's move on to the next world, guys. Next up, guys, we have Imperia. The world, the big Imperia, guys. So this world, ooh, Aether Dust. Yeah, hold up, guys. I gotta. Nice, Aether Dust. God, do you remember when people struggled to get that? Yeah, me too. So, anyways, back to the story about Imperia. I think it really did have. I think it had a pretty nice storyline, honestly. At this stage in the game and where KingsIsle was at the time while making this, I think they actually did a really good job. In my opinion, this is easily the second best world of the third arc. God, that doesn't sound that good considering there were only 3 worlds, but honestly, the storyline was actually really good. The way, you know, they kind of tied it in with Old Cobb and Raven kind of having this everlasting feud, you know, that kind of just lasted really ever since the creation of the Spiral. It really shows, like, how, you know, like, shadows from the past really can come back to haunt us. Wow, guys, that was fucking deep. But seriously, that is kind of this whole theme of the world here, and that's kind of what we're working towards. And, you know, everyone knew this was the final world, and everyone knew that Old Cobb was going to be our final confrontation one way or another, guys. Seriously, they really did do the whole grandfather spider thing really well, and I think this world wrapped it up really well. Honestly, I kind of wish the world wasn't split up into 2 parts, but you know, that's just one of my little criticisms. But other than that, though, this world did do a really good job. The music is absolutely blaring in my ears, guys, but I'm gonna try to talk over it. But yeah, anyways, I do turn down the music in my videos, though. But yeah, so Imperia, with its whole like I don't know, this whole world had kind of a like a really unique like random like design to it. I really liked. It really made it feel like a unique world, which, you know, honestly, you could say every world's unique, but I could really feel it with this one, if that makes sense. And I don't know, the whole storyline, it was a little all over the place, but I think it really did do a good job wrapping up nicely in the end. So, anyways, I think it was pretty good for a final world, and yeah, that's really all I gotta say about that. So, let's move on to the next world, guys. Oh man, how could I forget the classic Wizard City, guys? Seriously, this world does just, it's just the perfect, like, introductory world. Like, I mean, you have to admit, like, obviously this is the first world they made. Like, they had fresh ideas in their minds. They had original content being added. Like, it was just, I don't know, it was a really good, I bet they had a really fun time making this world. Yeah, that's kind of what I meant to say. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but they really did do a good job with this world. And man, its storyline. Oh, its storyline. It's simple, but it's perfect. It's perfect for an introductory world, seriously. The way that, you know, Merle Ambrose, like, you're kind of his little errand boy, and, I mean, let's be honest, like, you're kind of always his little errand boy, but, you know, I mean, in this world, I don't know, it just, there's something about Wizard City, guys. There's really something about Wizard City that's so compelling, that really gets you started in the game, and obviously that's one of the many reasons why it is such a good, you know, introductory world. And, you know, the storyline, how you first find out about Malistaire, and obviously there's some side quests that, like, you know, allude to, like, how tragic of a character he is, and, you know, we'll come back to that later in the video, but seriously, you really do, you know, with your first introduction with Malistaire, you know, it kind of sets the tone for the whole game, and this world storyline really does do a great job introducing you to everything, and setting the tone of the game, and that's really the main thing it does well. There's no, like, huge, big cutscenes or anything. There's no, like, I don't know, flashy scenes that happen, but, I mean, the whole world looks pretty nice now, though, if I'm not gonna lie, with the whole graphics revamp and everything. But seriously, it really does such a good job introducing you to just being a wizard and just wizardy tasks, if that makes sense, guys. So that's really what the story does well, and honestly, Wizard City, don't change, because you're perfect where you are. So, yeah, guys, let's move on to the next one. I gotta say, Avalon really did have one of the more interesting storylines out there. Like, I mean, seriously, like, you know, the fact that you're, like, trying to find, like, a lost king and, like, restore a bunch of knights to, like, you know, their former glory, basically, you know, the Knights of the Silver Rose and everything. I don't know, I just love the whole knightly theme of this world. I mean, come on, like, this world is one of my personal favorites. It's a really well-made world, and part of that really is the story, and also what I really love about this story is it gives a lot of backstory into Morganth, and, you know, obviously we get some more of that in Chrysalis too, but this story really does introduce you, actually it literally introduces you to young Morganth, and, you know, what she was like, and the little rebellious, rambunctious child she was. But seriously, guys, it really does make her a lot more of a compelling villain, and honestly, the whole side story of, well, I wouldn't even call it a side story because, you know, it is part of the main quest line and everything, but the whole side story of all the knights getting back together and everything, it really does make for an interesting story. And I don't know, like, seriously, that same level, that same consistency of story that, sorry, I had to burp for a second, but seriously, that same level of consistency throughout the entirety of Avalon is maintained really well. And honestly, there is obviously a clear goal in mind. You know, we gotta track down, Morganth, we gotta get the knights back together, obviously finding the king, like, come on, I mean, seriously, it's tied together really nicely, and honestly, the story is just a perfect fit for this world, much like Wizard City. Future worlds, take note, seriously, because those two boys do it really well. So, anyways, that's all I gotta say about Avalon. Really, it's just a really solid world, guys. It's a really solid world. Anyways, let's move on to the next one. Gosh, if we want to talk about worlds with a lot of build-up, Dragonspire is certainly up there, guys. Man, this whole world is build-up if you really think about it, but they do the build-up really nicely here, because obviously it's the final world of the first arc. You're facing Malistaire for the first time, unknowingly knowing how many times you're going to fight him in the future, guys. It's a really solid world. It's really well planned out and everything, and the way each area kind of leads into another, I think they just do really well. Obviously, the whole Malistaire storyline, we learn a little bit more about him, we learn a bit more about his wife, we learn about the whole Dragon Rider culture, which I'm in love with, honestly. That really, like, I remember just being a little child and just doing that and thinking that was just the coolest shit ever. And honestly, to this day, it still is. And it's, you know, it might be an old world, but it still really upholds its, like, you know, its classicness. You know, it's a classic world. It really is. And the storyline, it's classic. You know, honestly, the storyline, if I'm being honest, it has some parallels really to Wizard City's storyline. If you really think about it, you're kind of learning like a whole new way of doing things, because obviously once upon a time this Dragonspire was a world with like schools and magic schools and everything before pretty much everything got corrupted and fiery and all that because of the Dragon Titan and everything. And I don't know, that whole storyline obviously really good. They do a good job of tying that back to Malistaire and how he's going to use that to try and achieve his goals and everything. And you know, you can tell the whole time that, you know, this guy's just crazy though. This guy really doesn't know the scope of what he's doing, and you know, he does come to, you know, kind of rest in the end or see the error of his ways. But spoilers, that doesn't happen for a really long time. So yeah, that's really all I gotta say about Dragonspire. It's a really compelling world. It's really nice how it's all laid out in front of you. So anyways, on to the next one. Really, what I really like about Grizzleheim's lore so much is that it's just so deeply rooted, you know, within the roots of the spiral, if that makes sense, guys. Like, seriously, there is, like, so much. If you look beyond, like, Grizzleheim's, like, mediocre to, like, decent graphics, I don't know. Like, this world, it's definitely a bit outdated. It makes me sad to say that, but it is my favorite world anyway, so. But seriously, if you look beyond, like, the kind of just tribal, like, Nordic feel to this world, you'll really, like, and, you know, kind of, like, do the side quests and everything with, like, the runestones and stuff, you'll realize there's actually a really big lore, there's a really big, like, broad story, you know, behind this world. Obviously, it's concerning, like, Grandmother Raven, the origins of her children, the ravens, you know, how the bears came here, just all of that, really, is kind of intertwined within this world. And it's like, this is just one of the worlds that's a lot deeper than it really seems, you know? Like, it's a lot older, it's a lot more ancient than, like, a lot of its other worlds, and I feel like that's what sets it apart from a lot of worlds. It also has some pretty mysterious, like, areas to it, like the whole Giant's Forge, and also, what's that area called? Nidavellir. There's just so much, really, that we have yet to know about this world. Honestly, it's such a mystery, even though it's been out for so long. But seriously, like, when you quest through this world, really, the whole base storyline is good, but you're really touching only the tip of the iceberg, you know, if that makes sense. But, like, cause seriously, there's so much lore to unpack here that so many people don't, that I just feel really needs to be unpacked, and I feel like I just wish they'd expand upon the story, like, the main story, at least, a bit more, without putting so much lore into side quests. But, yeah, guys, it is, of course, Grandmother Raven's, like, home base, you know, or at least Wintertusk is, but, I mean, come on, that's basically part of Grizzleheim, if you think about it. But seriously, the whole, like, ancient Nordic lore about this just really speaks to me, and it's, you know, I don't know, I think it's really, like, the cream of the crop when it comes to stories, if that makes sense, guys. But, anyways, I've talked too long about Grizzleheim. Let's move on to the next one, guys. The fact that Darkmoor is a dungeon world and makes it this high on the list, number 2 in fact, is just, oh my god, it just really speaks volumes about just, I don't know, how good this place really is. Like, seriously, this place has just such a good story. It continues the Malistaire story. It has its own story, like, its own really nice story, like, with the whole Shane Von Shane thing, and Tatiana and Sir Blackwater. Seriously, there's so much to unpack here. And if you haven't done Darkmoor yet, honestly, you've been really living under a rock. The storyline's great. Obviously, the gear is probably the main thing that draws people here, but really, if you are listening to the dialogue, which, you know, I know many people skip, and I'm guilty of that sometimes as well, but there really is a really nice story of, like, love and tragedy, like, intertwined, and loss, too, intertwined in, like, the Castle Darkmoor storyline. And honestly, I don't really want to completely spoil it for you guys, because it's just that good. It's just really that good. The one thing I will say, is that it comes to a really nice conclusion. A really satisfying conclusion that I'm sure many avid fans of this game, would enjoy. So, I don't really want to talk too much about it because, guys, I'm just saying, if you haven't done it already, please go do it, seriously. It would make me very happy. I want you guys to have this experience, okay? Please do Castle Darkmoor, if you haven't already. You'll get some nice gear while you're at it, too. But seriously, guys, the storyline, it's so compelling. It wraps up the Malistaire storyline and Sylvia's storyline quite well, which is a storyline, obviously, that's been going on since the first world. which is really just crazy if you really think about it. It kind of makes you forget like how old this world really is, even though I mean it's more recent than obviously Wizard City and everything, but it provides a wrap up, and it ties up a lot of loose ends, while still providing like another story on the side. So I think that's really awesome that they did that. So anyways guys, let's move on to number 1. I know y'all know what it could be, process of elimination, but anyways guys, let's go there. And to finally wrap it all up, guys, out of the 17 worlds, the world with the best storyline, in my opinion, yes, I know, I hate to say it, but it's Chrysalis, okay? This isn't even a joke this time where I just cut to another world like I did in previous videos, but no, seriously, Chrysalis' storyline, guys, it's something different. It really is when you think about it. This is Morganth's last stand, if you really think about it, you know. Obviously, she comes to this world after her victory in Azteca, all confident and shit, you know, slowly gaining power, slowly learning more and more secrets of Shadow, that she can, you know, hopefully finish the prophecy once and for all, which obviously leads up to her inevitable failure. Seriously, it's really poetic. Like, I'm serious. Like, this whole world in and of itself is really based on the poem, you know, the mirror will break, the horn will call, from the shadows I strike, the skies will fall. Oh, did I just remember that? Okay, I guess I do. But yeah, seriously, so this world, it's very, you know, it has its haters, alright? It has its haters, but you have to admit, there is a really concrete storyline here. The whole Morganth thing, it was just rounded off really well here, and, you know, this was at, like, Wizard101's peak. This is when they had the technology to flourish and really make something like this happen, and they did a really bang-up job with it. And really, the second arc, you know, a lot of people quit after the second arc because, you know, the game just wasn't as good, and I feel like that's just part of the reason is because this just amazing magical storyline that was a continuation from, like, I don't know, a really long time. Because, you know, obviously Morganth, like, as a result of the first arc, like, without the first arc, obviously Morganth wouldn't have been possible, but the first arc, you know, it really did contribute to how great this one was. And really that's something to recognize here because, oh man, this was just quite the world. It was quite the storyline, you know. It had a lot of, outside elements. It talked a lot about we learned some things about ourselves too, you know, when we learned about shadow magic, and I think both parts of this world, even though they were both very long, were both very good in their own right. And I don't know, the story really showcased like the heroism, you know, of us and the tragedy of Morganth really well. So anyways guys, that's gonna be it for this video. I hope you all did enjoy. If you did, you could leave a like down below. And subscribe if you like this content and you want to see more of it in the future, guys. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. I really hope you guys did enjoy this one. Even if it was another world ranking video, hopefully you guys aren't getting sick of these because I really enjoy doing them. And it seems like a lot of you really like the content lately, and that's really glad to hear. So, anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. I hope you guys did enjoy this one. Enjoy the rest of your day. Hopefully you all are having a good quarantine. And I will see you guys next time. Take care, guys.